Hey there, it's Jermaine Satya from LiveWellZone.com. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips on different ways in which you can supplement with herbs. Okay, so we're going to dive right in, and the first option is going to be tinctures. Now, tinctures are basically an alcohol-based extract of an herb. So usually what happens is that fresh herb, sometimes dried, but usually fresh herb, is steeped in alcohol for an extended period of time. During that time, the nutrients are extracted into the alcohol, and then you simply take a few drops of that tincture once it's ready, and that's how you basically use the herb as a supplement. Okay, now one of the main benefits of a tincture is that it's super convenient. You don't really have to do anything. You can find supplements in a lot of different stores. It also has a long shelf life. So the fact that that everything is extracted in alcohol, the alcohol actually helps to basically preserve those nutritional components that have been extracted. So a tincture can last anywhere from about 4 to 6 years if it was done correctly, right? So it has a very long shelf life. Now, one of the drawbacks is that if you are somebody who avoids alcohol, maybe for just personal reasons, because maybe your health, or for religious reasons, if you avoid alcohol completely, then you could not use a tincture. So the other option would be to use something called a glycerite. Now, a glycerite is a glycerin-based extract. So it's basically the same principle as what we do with the tinctures. In this case, we're using glycerin as the solvent, right, that we are going to now steep the herbs in, and the glycerin also will extract various nutritional components. Now, from what I do know about these two things, it's not always going to be the same. So glycerin may not, for every single herb, may not always extract the same component. So if you were to compare, let's say a glycerite for nettle versus a tincture of nettle, they may not be the same thing, because again, these are different solvents, so they are going to extract in slightly different ways. Okay, but either way, a glycerite is still a very good, good legitimate way to supplement with herbs. All right, and again, very convenient, just like with tinctures. And in terms of shelf life, it is shorter. So glycerites will have a short shelf life of anywhere from 12 to 24 months. All right. Now, option number 3 is just to do another type of extract. So there are also vinegar-based extracts that you can use. Now, I personally have not seen these sold on the market. As far as I know, people usually would do this just at home. So if you want to make your own extracts at home, and again, if you prefer to avoid alcohol, you can also use vinegar as a solvent, and there's lots of videos and different books that will teach you exactly how to do this if this is something that you really want to learn. But a vinegar-based extract is another way for you to get the health benefits of herbs. Okay, now option number 4 is infusions. Now, infusions is more the technical term for what we usually just call teas, right? Now, teas, these are usually best only for the flowers or the leaves of a plant, okay? Because that's really all that the hot water can really work on efficiently at that level. Because when we make a tea, all we're doing is we're just steeping it. We're not cooking it in any way. So you can really only use it for the parts of a plant that are a little bit softer, and the flowers and leaves are softer. So teas are usually done with hot water, but you can also do teas with cold water. Generally, if you do that, then you would be soaking the herb in that water for a longer period of time. So if you make a cold infusion with something like, let's say, hibiscus, you could do that. You could let it soak in there for potentially a whole entire day. Whereas when you do a hot infusion with hibiscus, you might do 10, 15, 30 minutes, for example. Now, the one thing with teas that are not so great for everybody is that, they do require some planning ahead. You do have to take the time to make them. So they're not always the most convenient way to, let's say, use herbs medicinally. And also, depending on the herb, you can need a lot. So you might have to drink a lot of cups of tea within a day to get the benefits, compared to something like, let's say, a tincture, which is super convenient, where you're just maybe taking one or two dropperfuls maybe a few times a day. That's way more convenient. So teas do have that inconvenience that you have to actually go buy the herb, you have to plan ahead and do everything yourself. Shelf life, they don't last very long, right? You make a tea, you have to make sure you drink it probably within 24 to 72 hours, again depending on the tea and how delicate it is, so they don't last very, very long. And then as a side note with teas, you also have a subcategory of teas that are called overnight nourishing infusions. So I did a video in the past where I showed you how I make a nettle infusion, an overnight nettle infusion. So overnight infusions are done really for the purpose of extracting things like minerals from herbs. So herbs that are mineral rich, so stinging nettle, oat straw, alfalfa, horsetail, red clover, red raspberry leaf. Like there's lots of different herbs that are known for being particularly mineral rich. And so you will make an overnight infusion, which is where you put a significant amount of herb, about an ounce, in water, and you let it sit overnight. If you're curious what that looks like, I'll link to my video where I show you how I do that with stinging nettle, and you can follow the same process for any other mineral rich herb. Okay, so that's your fifth option as a supplement, is a tea. Like I said, the drawback is you need to drink a lot. Now, fifth option is a decoction. Now, decoction is basically a tea that you cook. All right, so decoctions are used for the parts of a plant that are a little bit harder and tougher to break down. So this would be the roots, dried berries. You can also use decoctions for barks, for seeds, and also if you're making any kind of mushroom tea, you usually use a decoction. So basically what this is, instead of when you make a regular tea, right, you take the water off of the stovetop and then you soak the plant in there. When you make a decoction, you keep that simmering. So you will basically put the plant material, whether it's a berry or a root, for example, you put that in like in a pan, and you let that simmer for about 10-15 minutes. And you do that because, like I said, you're using it for the hard parts of the plant, because they need that extra heat to be able to extract the nutrients. So that is a decoction. Again, that is something that from a convenience perspective, not very convenient because you do have to make it yourself. But just keep in mind that if you ever wanted to try any kind of tea that is made from a berry, so for example, vitex, right, also known as chasteberry, that is an herb that we use a lot for supporting women's hormones. Not the best tasting tea. I made it once and I never had it as a tea before, but that is a berry. So that, because it's a dried berry, you would have to make a decoction. You couldn't just do a traditional tea with vitex, and that goes for most other dried berries as well. And then the last option that I'm going to talk about, the one that we all probably most familiar with, is capsules. So taking herbs in the form of a capsule, usually when you buy capsules, it is either going to contain the herb, usually as a powder, and then sometimes it can also have it in the form of a liquid extract. Okay, but most brands do the powder option. I don't see too many brands doing the liquid extract. That is not to say that it's not being done. The only brand that I'm aware of is Gaia Herbs. That's a brand that I talk about a lot on this channel, and that's one of the reasons why I do like their capsules, is because they have a liquid extract in there. Again, anything that is in a liquid form usually just is easier for your body to take in, because basically once you've extracted everything into a liquid, there's not really any work for your body to do, right? So versus when you take, let's say, a capsule that has the powder, the fact that it is in the powder is helpful, right? Because it has already been basically broken down physically. There's more surface area that has been exposed, which is going to make it easier for your body to basically process that powder. But still, there's a little bit of work. And also you have to think about, the quality of the capsule, right? Because you want a capsule with material that is easy to break down. And I bring this up because when there are any kind of hormonal imbalances, there's oftentimes some imbalance also when it comes to gut and digestive health, right? So the body might be struggling a little bit when it comes to being able to properly break down and absorb things. So capsules are great because they are convenient, but remember that if you're not seeing benefits from capsules, it may just be that, maybe your body, your gut is struggling a little bit. And you need to first heal your gut. You need to work on just healing that part of your body, and then you could take the same capsule and get better results. So those are basically your options when it comes to different ways in which you can supplement with herbs. Okay, so I hope that you found this information helpful. Again, the goal here was really just to give you some ideas to keep in the back of your head as you go shopping and as you figure out what it is that you want to incorporate in your routine. My personal preference is usually tea, but part of it is because I really do enjoy the process of prepping a lot of my own food, and I love the process of really seeing, you know, a simple herb transform into this very nourishing and healing tea. So for me, it's not just you know, it's not just a mechanical process. There's a lot of psychological and spiritual pleasure and enjoyment that I get from making tea. So I like to use them, but I also will try tinctures because there are times in life where you need such heavy doses of plants that a tea is just not convenient. So in those cases, I will lean towards tinctures. And then I also will use capsules. It really just depends on either, you know, how much availability, how much time do I have in that time of my life, or, you know, what brands, because sometimes for some plants, you just can't find what you want from specific brands. So there's lots of different factors that will determine what I personally will use. And then, like I said, I just like the fact that anything that is liquid, so whether it's a tea or a tincture, those just go straight into your system because everything has already been extracted. Your body doesn't have to do any work, right? So you get the effects really, really quickly from that perspective. So on that note, we've come to the end of this video. If you found this helpful, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Share this with any other ladies out there who might be needing help in terms of just understanding a little bit the nuances and the differences between the different types of products that are out there on the market. And if you have any questions about this or any feedback of your own, you know, if you've had different experiences with different forms of supplements, I'd love to hear your feedback. So leave them below in the comments section. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.